Hi, my name is James Barnett, and I'm a researcher who works with Dr. Teal, looking at sunflower syndrome, and I'm also a second-year medical student at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. And today I'm going to be presenting on the clinical features of sunflower syndrome. So I have no disclosures. So what is sunflower syndrome? Sunflower syndrome is a type of reflex epilepsy in which patients will have seizures triggered by bright lights, in particular the sun. Generally, patients with sunflower syndrome have episodes which we've called hand-waving episodes, in which they will face a light source and then wave one hand in front of their face. And this is usually accompanied by an abrupt lapse in consciousness. And currently, sunflower syndrome is poorly understood. So our clinic decided to come up with a few projects to help better characterize sunflower syndrome and better understand it. Today, I'm going to be presenting on the results of those projects. So the first project I'm going to be talking about is the clinical series, or a clinical series that we conducted here. And what this basically means is that we looked at the medical records of patients who had been seen at Massachusetts General Hospital for Children, and those who had been seen by Dr. Teal. And from their medical records, we collected data such as their medical history, their family history, the time at which their seizures started, if they had earlier symptoms prior to their seizures, what seizure types they had, their seizure frequency, their EEG and MRI results, as well as treatments such as medications that they had used. We included all those patients who had a history of being attracted to bright lights, and those who had seizures with the hand waving component that I described earlier. And in total, we were able to collect medical records of 24 patients with sunflower syndrome. I'm also going to be talking about a questionnaire that we created. This is a custom questionnaire. And if you're watching this right now, you might have actually filled it out yourself, and we appreciate that. So this questionnaire was hosted on REDCap, was distributed online by email. And it was a total of 138 questions, and it covered a variety of topics, and they covered a broad range of topics so that we could get a holistic view of sunflower syndrome, as holistic as we could be. And this included demographics, age of onset, their medical history, their seizure frequency, seizure descriptions, what triggered their seizures, their strategies to attenuate, such as medications or non-pharmaceutical interventions, their other seizure types, and the effects on quality of life. And at first, we only included those who had been seen at the Massachusetts General Hospital for Children by Dr. Teal, and then we extended out the questionnaire to people who contacted our clinic with sunflower syndrome and responders to an ad on a sunflower syndrome Facebook page. In total, 78 individuals requested to fill out the survey, and 68 finished the survey. 61 out of the 68 61 of the 68 were completed by the parent of someone with sunflower syndrome, and then 7 out of the 68 were completed by the person with sunflower syndrome. Majority were young, under the age of 18. That's why majority filled out by the parent. And then half were actually seen at our institution. The other half were, as I described, respondents or had contacted our clinic or responding to an online advertisement. So today I'm really going to be focusing on the questionnaire itself, because there is such great overlap with the clinical series, and there's more people in the questionnaire. So looking at the demographics, 71% were female. The average age was 13.6 years old. And I will say that generally throughout the literature, we've seen that majority sunflower syndrome does have a female predominance. The oldest person to fill out the survey was about 73 years old. The youngest person was 3.5 years old. A majority were white. 22 had, about 32% had some kind of other neurological comorbidity. This included things like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, various learning disabilities, autism spectrum disorder, just to name a few. And we found that 35% had a family history of seizures. This included parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And 4 had a family history of sunflower syndrome. So there was a pair of twins, two girls with sunflower syndrome. One described a sister with sunflower syndrome who had hand-wave episodes that would evolve into tonic-clonic seizures. One had a paternal uncle and a father who both described staring at the sun and blinking their eyes rapidly. And then one other person was identified from the clinical series that described having episodes that described having a sister with sunflower syndrome. So majority, looking at the seizure profile, so a majority, everyone included had the hand-wave episodes, but a majority also had some kind of other seizure type. 51% said that they had experienced at least one tonic-clonic seizure. 21% experienced at least one absence. 7% described myoclonic. 6% described focal with altered awareness. 7% described other types of seizures. And then one person has said that they had focal seizures. And 19% said that they had described at least one episode of a seizure lasting longer than 5 minutes. This is suggestive of status epilepticus. In the clinical series, we looked at MRI and CTs, and 10 MRIs were available and 3 CTs were available, but they were all unremarkable. We also, in the clinical series as well, one person reported that they had underwent an epilepsy gene panel, but that did not identify disease-causing mutation. We looked at behavior changes and symptoms prior to the onset of hand waving. 53, about half, said that they noticed some kind of symptom prior to the onset of hand waving. These symptoms happened about 2.3 years prior to the onset of hand waving episodes. This included eye rolling, eye fluttering, blinking, head shaking, eye closing, or it described some kind of attraction to light, or described stories which they would run towards a light source. This all happened prior to the onset of hand waving. Now looking at the hand waving episodes themselves. So the average age of onset of hand waving was 6.7 years. The youngest was 2.5 years, and the oldest was 20 years old. 66 out of the 68 said that they had hand waving episodes start within the first 10 years of life. Only 2 said that they had hand waving episodes after the first decade of life, and those people were 12 years old and 20 years old. The frequency of hand waving episodes really varied widely among participants. Some people said that they no longer hand waved or haven't hand waved in years, and others described that they hand waved constantly throughout the day. Of those patients that still hand waved, the frequency really varied depending on light source. Some say, many described that they would, if exposed to light or had a day where there was a lot of sun out, they would hand wave all the time. And then when days there are less sun, they would hand wave a lot less. So it really depended on exposure to light. We also looked at symptoms after hand waving episodes. So we asked, was there any symptoms that happened if they had a prolonged hand waving episodes or had a lot of hand waving episodes in a day? And about 40 of the 68, about 60%, said that they had experienced some kind of symptoms. The most common symptom was just feeling fatigued. 12 said that after a prolonged hand waving episode, they had at least one episode of going into a tonic-clonic seizure. 6 said that they could feel nauseous. 4 said they could have some kind of other seizure type, which was not specified. And then 3 said that they could have headaches. We then looked at the hand used during hand waving episodes. Was it the right hand? Was it the left hand? Was it the dominant hand? Was it the non-dominant hand? So just to give some demographics, about 82% of the participants were right hand dominant, and most people are right hand dominant. So 45 said that they waved exclusively with one hand. And of the 45 who waved with one hand, 26, so pretty much half, described that they waved with their dominant hand, which means the other half to wave with their non-dominant hand. 20 waved with both hands, and about pretty much half said they primarily waved with their non-dominant hand, which means the other half waved their non-dominant hand. And it was pretty much split down the middle, 50-50 as far as dominant to non-dominant and left to right. And we did not find a significant relationship between hand dominance and the hand used in hand waving episodes. We also asked about feelings prior to and during hand waving episodes. So prior to hand waving episodes, 41 respondents felt drawn to sunlight or would turn to face the sun or any kind of light source, actually. 29 described feeling normal or fine. 8 individuals felt a compulsion to hand wave. 6 described a tingling or buzzing feeling in front of their head or neck. And then during hand waving episodes, 11 described some kind of good or euphoric feeling. 3 felt relieved or content. 17 said that they felt normal or just were actually unaware that the hand waving episode was even happening. 6 reported negative or unpleasant feelings, and 2 described feeling dizzy. And 1 respondent actually described how they kind of felt during hand waving episodes, and I thought was kind of interesting. They said that they felt like kind of like a spring, in which when the spring gets, when you put tension on a spring, it has to, when you let go, you just have to they just have to hand wave. And they said they felt almost like a wind up toy. Once you start cranking it up, she has to eventually hand wave. We looked at triggering stimulus. So what was causing their hand waving episodes? What kind of light sources? And every single person said that they had hand waving episodes triggered by the sun. About 1/3 said that they had hand waving episodes only by the sun. And 2/3 said that they had hand waving episodes triggered by both sunlight and artificial light, and artificial light being light bulbs or any other kind of like flashing light, LED, strobe lights, anything like that. 56% of the 68 participants, so about half, said that they had that their hand waving episodes were they had hand waving episodes more often in sunlight compared to artificial light. 12% said that they had hand waving episodes equally, had the same amount of hand waving episodes in sunlight and artificial light. And then 1 participant said that they had hand waving episodes more in artificial light than sunlight. In particular, the artificial lights that caused hand waving episodes were bright lights, fluorescent lights, LEDs, strobe lights, and then hanging lights or lights from above. Some participants said that some triggers could be going from a dark place to a light place, such as getting out of a car. Some people also described the flickering of light as they drove under trees. 71% said that stress and anxiety affected their hand waving episodes. 63 said that they hand waved more when stressed or anxious. 1 out of 4 said that they had an increase in duration, and then 22% said they had an increase. They felt like their hand waving episodes were more severe when stressed or anxious. We also asked about behavioral interventions. So 88% said that there was some kind of non-pharmaceutical intervention that could reduce hand waving episodes, which means that 8 out of the 68, about 12% said that there was really no non-pharmaceutical intervention that could reduce hand waving episodes. The most popular and generally the most effective non-pharmaceutical or behavioral intervention that could reduce hand waving episodes was avoidance of the sun. And this could be simply just avoiding it, or wearing a hat or tinted glasses. And 21 participants reported some kind of special tinted glasses that helped them in particular. This included blue tinted polarized glasses, Zeiss blue glasses, outdoor FL1 Axon optics, Irulan blue tinted customized polarized sunglasses, green tinted glasses. 1 participant even reported that wearing glasses wearing yellow or brown tinted glasses could help them. 16 reported welder's goggles could really help. And if you ever wore welder's goggles, they are fairly dark. And in general, welder's goggles were reported to be pretty helpful for majority of people. The only caveat to that is that they are dark and it can be hard to navigate indoors with them. 28 said that they could focus on other objects other than the light source. So this could be going horseback riding or riding a bike or performing a dance recital, anything that kept their body and their mind occupied. And then 22 said that holding the hand, that would usually hand wave, could help. So this could just be holding their mom's or their dad's hand could help them when walking in a bright place. And interestingly, one participant from the clinical series even noted that when they wore glasses without any lenses in them, they actually reduced their hand waving episodes. And all these strategies had really varying degrees of effectiveness. Some people said when they wore welder's glasses, they didn't hand wave at all, whereas others said that it helped, but not that much. And it really depended on the person. And especially with hat and tinted glasses, a lot of the young kids had trouble keeping the hat and the glasses on. A lot of the parents said that they would always take off their hat or glasses. And the last thing I'm going to be talking about is the impact on quality of life. So unfortunately, we've seen that sunflower syndrome generally has a negative impact on quality of life. About 88% of participants reported that it negatively impacted their quality of life, and 90% said that it affected their family's quality of life negatively as well. It affected their family's quality of life as well. 69 said that they felt anxious or depressed due to the hand waving episodes or the photosensitivity associated with sunflower syndrome. 43% said it affected their ability to perform in work or in school. 65% reported that their social life was affected by their hand waving episodes. 37 said that they experienced social isolation or bullying from their peers because of the stigma that came with it. And then 15% said that they felt insecure. In general, sunflower syndrome, the seizures associated with it, the photosensitivity associated with it, was described as having people feel stigmatized or restricted or lacking control from sunflower syndrome. Many patients reported problems with self-esteem or self-efficacy. And it was, and this is again something that our clinic finds to be very important, and we're working to better understand the impact on quality of life. So in conclusion, sunflower syndrome is a stereotyped epilepsy. It remains poorly understood, but we are currently working on many projects to better understand it. Majority of people with sunflower syndrome, in our case, it was 66 out of the 68 people, had hand waving episodes start within the first decade of life. The seizure frequency was highly variable from person to person, from being constantly throughout the day to not having hand wave in years, and also dependent on the amount of exposure to light that they had. And we see that sunflower syndrome often has a negative impact on the quality of life of the person with it. And we think that future research is needed to identify effective treatments and to understand the underlying natural history, etiology, and pathophysiology. So that's it for my talk, and I really appreciate your time.